Yes. So could you speak about the actually if Himachal Pradesh means Shimla, beauty, beauty, and Manali, and so that many people think about Himachal with the apple like Kashmir, and also like Uti, Nilgiri district in Tamil Nadu. These are the areas where people say there is no caste. Even in Shimla, many people say that no, we don't practice caste system here.
They call it the land of deities.
Yeah.
There is no caste here.
So that could you explain?
It's extremely offensive, I would say. And it's ridiculous to say that the caste does not exist. In fact, it's untouchability that exists in Himachal Pradesh. And because of very poor social reform movement in our state, this is quite widespread, I would say. And if you go by the data of the economic census that we have had, we are the second largest Dalit population after Punjab. And you see, I was the the founder of the Himachal Dalit Shoshan Mukti Sabha, in fact. This is a kind of militant organization that takes up the issues of untouchability, of rights of the Dalits in different parts of the state. And I can tell you with full full authority, I would say, that it's actually one of the worst states, I would say, in the country. Why I'm saying so? Because when we were in the nascent form of forming this organization, we conducted a survey. And you see, it's a large sample survey. I mean, we have conducted some 35,000 households. Massive, and we identified what are the forms of differentiation being practiced. You'll be shocked. I think it's more than 70 varied forms. And the forms of differentiation exists, of course, materially, materially it is there. They have less land, the Dalits have less land. The education is an important element of discussion. Then empowerment is a big issue. But apart from that, if you see culturally, and even what people wear. Now there's a very funny and interesting thing if you realize. You see, there's a Himachali cap, and if you why I want to share that anecdote is because the differentiation is so large, it's obnoxious. And when I was leading this movement in a tribal district in Kinnaur, which is a tribal district.
You are the founder of that the movement which you're talking about, Dalit.
The Himachal Dalit Shoshan Mukti Sabha. When I was there in the tribal amongst the tribal people, it is generally believed that in the tribe you don't have caste, but in Himachal, caste is practiced even in the tribe. And there I came to know this funny anecdotes about the cap, the whole issue of the cap. And you generally find that people wear a green cap, the green Himachali cap, and also a few people wear red Himachali caps. Green is a symbol of forward caste, and red cap is a symbol of Dalits. now this is a funny, I mean, one of the funniest things I've ever seen, and this is actually I've seen on the ground existing in Kinnaur, and the way that this cap is to be worn. So right from cultural prejudice, cultural differentiation, of course, the whole institution of deities that we have. And since I was working on a tribe that's almost 3,500 years old called Kassites, Khashas, which is a very old migration, they're semi-Aryans in fact. The caste is practiced predominantly there, and even untouchability. And the kind of obnoxious practices that they have, you will find in the institution of deity and in the whole gamut of keeping the village alive and the unity of the village alive. Actually, it is caste differentiation that is there. So you will have the institution of the deity and the fear of the deity, you see, that if you try to move out, and this does not just affect the forward caste, but it also affects the Dalits. I mean, that was the biggest hindrance that we still face, because the moment we try to build a movement, they say, no, we have this fear of a deity. So, and this
The
is,
god,
yeah, the god. I mean, the local deity,
Okay.
because that's why it's the land of gods, no? Land of deities. But this is to break. I mean, this is what we intend to break. And but remember, it's almost 2,000, 3,000 years old institutions that still exist. And in the institution of the deity and in the unity of the village, actually caste differentiation exists and caste prejudices exist. So if you try to move out of that, and for example, we have different rasois, what we call different kitchens for marriages. Still, it is being practiced in various areas.
Marriage hall.
Marriage halls in the cities, you don't find that differentiation taking place, but in the countryside we don't have marriage halls. In fact, we have marriages taking place in the houses.
Only kitchen.
Only kitchens are different. So if a marriage that takes place in a Dalit's family, if he has to ensure that the entire village comes, for them the entire village is the forward caste as well. So the kitchen would be run by the forward castes.
Okay.
And still you'll find different people sitting in different lines.
Okay.
Of course, marriage is a dream too far away. So inter-caste marriages is still a distant dream. So when we were doing this survey, actually there is a strong relationship between the caste and the class that exists in Himachal. So the poor, the marginal peasantry, in fact, 80% of them are the Dalits. So when we were building this movement on social issues also pertains to the economic demands that have to be raised. And there's another thing that I would like to share, which is often being overstated, and the rhetoric has always been sung, that this is the only state that spends its budget, 25% of its budget, the Scheduled Caste Special Component Plan or the sub-plan. In fact, there's nothing untrue than what they project. Because I went to Kangra, there's a district in Kangra, there's a district called Kangra, and one of the village, and there I saw this road has, the road has been constructed under the SC sub-plan. And you won't believe, not a single Dalit exists in that village. So it's just because they wanted to have a different allocation. They've shown that in the budget, but actually that has not translated. And the third thing that I would like to present about is that we've had two Himachals. Two Himachal means one old Himachal and new Himachal. So in old Himachal, still there was land struggle, there was land movement. And this land movement also enhanced the consciousness of the peasantry, of the people, and also of the Dalits. So untouchability is not that predominant in those areas, not that. But in old Himachal, which is predominantly feudal, and where you have these big feudal lords still ruling the state, you can easily make out. There, it looks quite egalitarian, but it's the reverse. And widespread untouchability is practiced there. Where people will not eat, they will not dine, they will not drink. And there's another...
Drinking water? Or?
Of course,
okay.
Water. Of course, they will not drink water from their hands. And there's this anecdote that we share, that I always love to share. One girl, and I was the chairperson also of the Social Justice Committee, being the deputy mayor of the city. And there was this girl who was killed by, initially she was raped and then she was killed in Mashobra. Now where she was killed happened to be in municipal corporation, but where she lived was beyond that. So I said, no, we should take a team. We took a team and visited the spot, and finally we submitted that report to the High Court. Now what I wanted to mention is, we went to her house. She was Dalit. We went to a house. We had a team of, I don't know, 7 or 8 people, and of which 5 were women. Now we went there, we had tea and we had water there. Some of our team members did not have. I had just asked them, we were very thirsty. Then I realized, because they knew that this girl is Dalit, so they didn't drink water in that house. And they were part of the Social Justice Committee, being women. So you can jolly well understand how Himachal is. And unfortunately, what has happened, because I come from a students' movement, I was the leader of the SFI, and we were instrumental into getting many inter-caste marriages, done, and it's a criticism that I always make of the students' movement also. I think it's one of the most radical student movement in any part of the country. I mean, what we are witnessing in JNU, I think the HPU surpasses JNU. Not a single leader of the students' movement you'll find who has not been jailed for 5 or 6 times. The jail period would be 6 months, 7 months.
In HP?
In HPU, yeah. And not a single leader of the SFI you'll find who has been slapped with more than a dozen cases. Though it's not being presented like that in the media. So, but they are the militant forces. And this is what I make of criticism always. When they go back to the villages, they are extremely revolutionary, I mean, extremely radical in the campus. But when they go back to the villages, they have also not been able to break the backbone of this. So I think it's a serious challenge. And it is precisely for that that we wanted to have a dedicated organization. That's how we built this movement called the Himachal Dalit Social Mukti Sabha. And we were able to raise some of the issues in Kinnaur, where now very funny things. I mean, for when I go back and try to understand those things. Now the Dalits were asked to carry the drums of the god, of the deity, and they will carry always on their back, and they will never get money. And they're poor people. I mean, if they don't get the daily wages, how would they survive? But they have to sustain because of the institution of the village, of the unity of the village, and they refused because they were part of. We were leading a worker peasant movement in the hydropower. I was leading that movement. And then because of our intervention, and they were also getting quite frustrated through that, we said, you don't carry those drums. You don't beat those drums. Let the forward caste beat those drums. After all, the goddess is theirs as well as yours. They don't allow you to enter the temples, but they will carry the drums. You understand what I'm trying to say? And here, the deity moves for even 1 month. You see, that's a very funny part. So sometime the deity will go for a bath, sometime the deity will go for a tour.
That winter vacation also is there, right? For
vacation. And you see, the funniest part is that the deity would come after 45 days. Now the poor people, especially Dalits, would be carrying that drum and all for 45 days. How would this sustain a family? Now we said, don't do that. We formed an organization. And it's Badakamba village in Kinnaur, if I remember. Badakamba. The village's name is Badakamba. They didn't have road at that time. I still remember. It's an extremely difficult terrain. I mean, you can see the mountains, all mountainous region. They did that. And you know what happened? The village boycotted them.
Village completely?
Completely boycotted, even amongst the Dalit community. So we were in a very, we tried to mobilize people because, you know, the democratic consciousness is very low. Finally, we had to go to the High Court. And the High Court said it draws the provisions of Scheduled Caste Atrocity Act. So finally they were able to, but it took a long time. They said, we will not. They said, if we can carry the drums, you can also carry the drum. And then even for the drums and the music that is being played, so Dalits would play on a different note, and the forward caste will play on a different note. And then the instruments would also be, they will play with a different metal. The Dalits would play on a different metal. So metal would also be different. So it's, I mean, it's obnoxious and it really irritates at times. But how do we fight it out? And that's why we felt that we ought to have an organization, and it is this organization where now who's the president of the Himachal Dalit Social Mukti Sabha has also been elected as the member of the Zilla Panchayat. He's a Zilla Parishad member. Okay. So it's growing now. Okay. And
what is that position, sir? Member of?
I am not very sure because it is a mass organization.
So this one, the position which he was elected, what is that?
Zilla Parishad. Zilla Parishad member.
Achha, it's a government position or?
No, it's through election. I mean,
like
through. You have the district panchayats, no?
Oh, achha, okay.
Yeah, district panchayat. Like we have the block panchayat.
Yeah, panchayat, okay.
And he won with a great margin in Kulu. He was the SFI, he was
Okay.
a student movement leader. So now how we are working is we have built in some whole-timers who whole-time function as Himachal Dalit Mukti, Social Mukti Sabha. But still they have a weakness in the sense that they have been able to build movements, but they have not been able to build through the mainstream, like not been able to link it. I think that linkage has to develop. And but there's a dedicated team that works. It's a front, I would say, and it's a front of a mass nature in which membership is being done.
Yeah.
And I think it would turn out soon to be the largest democratic organization of the state.
The state.
Yes.
So
100%.
could you talk about this temple entry? Because in Tamil Nadu there is a temple entry restrictions.
Yeah.
There is a big movement is happening. Then one of my friends from Mumbai said that only in South India such a problem is there.
No,
but in,
no.
yeah.
It's not like that. Usually there are certain temples that are being owned by the government. Of course, there you won't find temple entry or
Problem.
Dalits, being prohibited.
They can be also as a priest.
No, you will not find a Dalit to be a priest. It would be too difficult to say so. But you see, there are community temples, no, in the villages.
Yeah.
Now in the same temple, when the Dalit can carry the drum on his back for bloody 45 days, and he's not being allowed entry into the temple, then you say that the temple belongs to forward caste. Is it a private temple? How do you justify that? It's not true. I mean, in the Himalayas and the Himalayan region, there is a caste stratification and caste differentiation, and Dalits are being denied entry.
Okay.
Of course, they are being denied entry. And there was this temple in Bilaspur district where it was written Shudra Ka Na Mana Hai,
Okay.
which means the Dalits are not allowed to enter.
Here Shudra means Dalits or?
Yeah, Shudra means Dalit. And then finally he was arrested, of course. The priest was arrested because this temple was being run by